Hey, this is Chris Dewey, and for most of you, you know me as your Medicare or Obamacare agent. Tons of you know me as the Medicare advocate that helps Miss Margaret McManus's disability clients apply for extra help, get the 164 every month put back into your Medicare checks. A lot of you that have ACA insurance with Ambetter or Blue Cross Blue Shield know me as the guy that tries to get you the subsidy and the lowest premium with that. But today, what I want to talk about, I've noticed in the last 6 months, everybody that I fill out to get the 164 put back into their check, one of the questions is, do you have final expense or burial insurance? 90% of you say no. So the best time to get final expense insurance is now. Okay, so guys, there's really only three reasons that people get final expense insurance. The first reason is, like I said, you don't have any. You have no final expense. You have no life insurance. You don't have a burial policy in place. So you got to ask yourself, if something happens to you tomorrow. My son got in a car accident a couple of weeks ago. He's got no reason to be alive, but it was a miracle he lived. Okay? So let's say you got in that car accident similar to that, hit a tree, you died. You don't have life insurance. So do you have money saved up to pay for it? What I've found over the last few years is a lot of people, the kids will have a GoFundMe and try to raise the money. The loved one, I've had so many clients pass away in Douglas, Tifton, Fitzgerald, that were actually just at the funeral home, and the children were going through the financial stress of the burden of trying to come up with that money. So that's the big thing. If you don't have any, think about your wife, your kids, your grandparents, whoever you're close to, and say, do I want to put them through the financial strain? And I've come across this a lot lately. So I don't care what the situation is. Even if you pick up $3,000 or $4,000 worth of insurance, you can still get cremated. All right, but think about your loved ones and your family. The nicest thing you could ever do for your family member, your spouse, or your loved one is to pick up something. So when that day comes, and that we're not promised tomorrow. So when that day comes, at least they don't stress out about having to figure out how to raise money to bury you, okay? Reason number two is I found a lot of clients picked up an $8,000, $5,000 policy 10 years ago. With inflation, let's face it, look at milk, look at eggs, go and get some bread or some burgers and find out, let me know what the bill is. It's astronomical. Everything's going up in price. So a $10,000 funeral today, 5-10 years down the road, you're looking at maybe 15 or 20. So if you have a $10,000 policy, it wouldn't hurt to add a little bit, especially when you're young and you don't have as many health issues, because when you get older, it's too late. All right, third reason is you have a policy, you're not sure what it is. You let us do a free policy review and we find out a couple things. Hey, it's not whole life, it's term. That policy ends in 1, 5, 10, 15 years. I've seen a lot of policies, especially with Globe Life, where you think you have a whole life, a final expense policy, where the death benefit never goes down, the premiums are level, they stay the same, and you get it for life. Globe Life has a policy where the premiums go up every 5 years. Once you turn 80, the policy terminates when you need it the most. You make it to 80, you don't have any insurance. So we can do a review for you. Some of the policies have death benefits that go down each year. And so many people that used to work that aren't working anymore thought that their life insurance went with them. It didn't. Or it's the kind of life insurance when you transfer it over, it's term, it goes up every 5 years. Or basically you have an overpriced policy and we can do better for you and find a lower rate for a whole life final expense policy, okay? Okay, so there are three different types of final expense insurance that are geared towards folks on disability and low incomes. The first group is what we're going for. We're trying to get a level preferred. That means you're relatively healthy. You might have had a stroke or a heart attack, but it was over 24 months ago. Maybe you got a little diabetes, blood pressure. You might have some cholesterol. You might even have something a little bit more serious, like you've had COPD for 3 or 4 years, but it's under control. You could still possibly get level preferred, all right? The graded benefit is for folks that are not that healthy. They either had a heart attack or stroke in the last 2 years. Maybe they got diagnosed with Parkinson's in the last 2 years. Last 2 years is key. That's what we got to focus on. Because if you had a heart attack or stroke over 2 years ago and it's under control and you take maintenance meds for it, you can get a level preferred. What does level preferred mean? That means day one coverage. You get the policy out, it's issued that day, it kicks in the following day, you die the day after, it pays the whole 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000. You got day one coverage. Folks are a little bit sicker. A graded plan. Now, there are some graded plans that we can go for that pay you 30% the first year, 70% the second year, and on day one of the third year, they're going to pay 100% of your benefit. And there's different variations of that. But what you got to remember is right here, they're going to ask you these questions. In the last 24 months, have you been diagnosed with stroke, cardiomyopathy, heart attack, pacemaker, valve replacements? In the last 24 months, have you been diagnosed with COPD, Lou Gehrig's disease, MS, Parkinson's, epilepsy? Now, there are some, this is just one carrier's questions. Every carrier's got different questions, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. The last category is what we call guaranteed acceptance. You see a lot of that on TV with Colonial Penn. Alex Trebek used to be, when he was alive, he used to talk about it. That's basically if you're pretty bad off, you got cancer, you just had a heart attack a month ago, or you just got some complications, you're on dialysis. We can get you insurance, but there's a 2-year waiting period. So you got to wait 1 year, year 2. You got to pay your premiums. If you die, you get your premium sent back to you. However, they don't pay the death benefit. All right, so those are the 3 different types of plans. Okay, guys, here's my secret sauce. I'm very transparent. I'm going to tell you what separates me from most other agents or TV commercials you see on TV like Colonial Life or Globe Life, Colonial Penn. So here's the thing. Every single one of these final expense life insurance companies, they look at the health questions. They look at the answers to your health questions differently. They give you the final price according to their specific underwriting guidelines. The key to getting the best value is finding the company that's going to consider your particular health conditions or your lifestyle the most favorably. So as your insurance agent, this is my job. My goal is to find you a policy that's a preferred rate or a level premium where on day one you have coverage, your premium's level, it stays the same, it never changes. So using my underwriting software and what I've known over the years, let's say you got diabetes, you got bad diabetes, you take insulin, and you got diabetic neuropathy. Pretty much every carrier is not going to give you a level preferred rate where you get day one coverage. You're looking at waiting 2 years where you're not going to get the whole death benefit if you die in the first 2 years. But let me give you an example. Let's say you got that diabetic neuropathy right here, diabetic neuropathy, retinopathy. You can get day one really good preferred low rate with Royal Neighbors of America, even though you got that diabetes. All right, let me give you another example. Let's say you got COPD, you've had it over 2 years, but you're not taking oxygen with it. We can get you day one coverage with a company called Liberty Bankers, who also gives day one coverage for hepatitis, epilepsy. They don't even talk about seizures, Parkinson's disease. So every company's got a niche. It's my job to find that niche. Let me give you another example. Let's see here if I can find it. Okay, let's say you got heart issues. You got AFib, or you put a pacemaker in over 2 years ago. You take meds. Not only do you take meds, you take blood thinners. You take Eliquis or warfarin or Coumadin. You're also taking a few heart meds. Prosperity Life will give you day one coverage, preferred low rate, as long as that heart attack or stroke was over 24 months ago, and they consider the meds you take maintenance meds, so you're not going to get knocked out for the medications you take. So the key really is, and my go-to person, my go-to company, they've got over a 90% approval for applications submitted, and they just, Hep C, kidney disease, you name it, lupus, MS, Parkinson's, the Savings Bank, SBLI, it's the bank life insurance company, Savings Bank Life Insurance Company. They're going to give you day one coverage for a lot of these different things that you see on this list, okay? my job to match your health conditions with the right company to get first aid coverage, level preferred rate. All right. So this is how these plans work and how easy it is to get one issued. The plans are whole life. Okay, they're designed for final expense between 2,500 in death benefit up to 30, 40,000 is really the most final expenses go as far as death benefit goes. But they are geared towards folks that are on disability, low income, that might have some health issues, but they could still get a day one coverage at a preferred rate. So final expense equals burial equals whole life. It's all the same thing. All right. Final expense equals burial policy equals whole life equals funeral policy. They call it different things, but it's the same thing. Now, the first thing you have to remember is the death benefit. Let's say you get a $20,000 death benefit. Those death benefits are guaranteed to never decrease. This is permanent insurance. It's whole life that builds cash value. The other thing is, unlike a lot of these, they look and smell and feel like whole life insurance, but they're term insurance, or they're weird kinds of insurance where your premium goes up every couple of years, or it expires when you turn age 80, like a term policy. After 5 years or 10 years, it's done. You don't have any insurance anymore. And if you get sick, you can't get good insurance at that point. So the policy cannot expire at any age. You keep it until death no matter what. The other thing is right up here, monthly premiums never increase. A lot of policies every 5 or 10 years, they jack up those premiums so you can't afford it. You end up canceling the policy. That's why you need to have a policy review. You may think you have good insurance, but until I talk to get the policy number and talk to the actual company, we really don't know for sure. And the last thing is you don't need a physical or mental exam as part of the application. They're going to ask you some health questions. They're going to be able to look at your medications that you've taken. They can do a medication check within a few minutes. They ask you some health questions, and within minutes, we do this over the phone, or we can do an e-application by computer. But I like doing it by phone because the three of us are on the phone together, me, you, and the insurance rep. And within minutes, you get the policy issued, and they have true Social Security billing with a lot of these companies. They all take it out. The day that you get your Social Security check is the day that they take out that premium. So you never have your policy lapse. You don't forget to pay your premium. They take it out the same day as Social Security. And if you need to use your Direct Express card, there's carriers that will accept those, debit cards, whatever we need to do to make sure your family doesn't pay for your funeral. All right, give us a call at 843-227-6725. This is Chris Dewey. I'd love to help you. One last thing, if you're not getting that $164 put back in your Medicare Part B premium that they take out each month, that's a great way to free up some money. If you make less than $1,700 in that range, $1,680, $1,700, let's have my assistant Tim Gray apply for you. We might be able to put some of that money back. And for those of you who I've done, hundreds of you that I've actually put money back in your Social Security check from the Medicare Part B premium, the $164 that they take out, $164.90, we can get that back in. You can use some of that as life insurance. That's what we're here for. You guys have a great day. If you click below, you can set up the appointment and we can talk.